Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead. We are going to show y'all a little bit about what we're going to do with a couple of our apple trees here we have. We planted these last year. I don't believe in doing anything to my apple tree till the second year. I want to make sure it has some growth in it. This was a pot tree. Now this was not bare root, this was a pot. Now bare root I would cut back, but a pot one, no, because there's no need in it. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to take some of the top out of it. We're going to be working around the bottom of it, getting it ready, and we're going to show you how we do it. Now, it's not going to be a long video. We got 2 trees to do, and we're going to show you what we're going to do with these 2 trees. Now, first off, we're going to work around the bottom of the tree. Okay, now originally when we planted this tree, it came with the fruit tree thing around it, this piece of paper here, and we left it around the tree. But I'm going to take that off now to expose the tree trunk. And it had this little stick here that came with it to help brace the tree so the wind wouldn't blow it over. We have some things that came with the Homestead Box for putting around trees and working with trees, and we're going to be using them. It just so happened there was 2 of them that came, and we have 2 of trees here in our front driveway. Now this is a shade cloth. We're going to put this around it. This shade cloth is used to help suppress weeds from coming up around the tree so that it doesn't steal any of the nutrition out from around the tree. We're going to be putting that in, and what we're going to do is we originally had some mulch here. We're going to go back and put this mulch on top of this shade cloth to kind of help hold it down. That way it really helps to control some of the sunlight that gets into the ground here. And we're going to go ahead and put the rest of this on here in just a minute. But next, we have these tree wraps here. This is to protect the trunk of the tree. Now these are not to be left on there permanently. These are just something temporary while the tree is young till it gets established so that varmints don't come up and eat the bark off of the tree and kill it, or deer come in and take their horns and rub it or anything like that. We're going to continue to put these things around the tree. Now it's just a spiral. You just twist it on the tree here. There, we've got that now. That helps to protect the tree from not only from sun scald, rodents, deer, different things like that. And I think we're going to go ahead now. We're going to continue to put the mulch around this so that we can get it covered up here pretty quick before it starts to dry out. And one thing I might add, you want to make sure you don't cover the tree deeper than it was in the ground. That's where a lot of people make their mistakes with these trees. And ours is kind of in a bowl shape down in the ground here. What that does is it helps to hold moisture when it rains. It goes right down to the root system. All right, there we go. Tree number 1 done. Now we're going to come in here and we're going to work on the top of this tree a little bit. Now I like to shape my trees where all the limbs grow laterally, but we see we have an issue here with what's called a Y stalk in this tree here. Now this is not going to be a very strong limb. This limb will actually break when it gets loaded up. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be changing the shape of this tree. And to do that, we have a set of loppers here that are from Songmick. Now I'm gonna look at this here. Now I don't need the center leader that's in this tree. I don't like a tree with a center leader in it. I like my tree to branch out. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come in here and we're gonna take this off out of the center of this tree. Now we see here, we're gonna use our falsy pruners that come in the Homestead Box. We have a limb growing toward the inside of the tree there. We're going to get that off because I don't like any limbs growing toward the inside of a tree. And here once again, we have another Y stalk right here. I don't like that. We're gonna get rid of that. And let's see, we've got one growing inside right here that I don't like being in there. That is pretty much going to get the center of this tree opened back up. Now what we are going to do is, as this tree matures and these limbs get a little bit bigger, we'll be tying some weights on them out here. We'll probably use something like small milk jugs or anything, and we'll tie them on the limb out here, and we'll fill them up with water until they're heavy enough to pull that limb to the shape in which we want it. Now we'll do that to this limb, and we'll come over here and we'll do it to this limb, because I like for my trees to grow out in a shape like this. It makes the limbs much stronger. I've got another one right there on the bottom I'm gonna get rid of. As far as that goes, I think we're gonna come back in the tips of these limbs to make this tree branch out more. We're gonna take these tops off of this because I like my tree to all be the same height. I'm cutting right above the bud. There we go. Now, there is our apple tree, and that apple tree should grow and produce well. Probably in a couple of years, it will, let me get this one right here out. All right. Tree number 1 is down and done. We'll move on over to tree number 2. Okay guys, this is one of those trees that has no shape to it whatsoever. This is a hard decision, but we don't like our limbs this low. You know, that's just too low to the ground. You won't be able to get around because this limb loads up with fruit. It's going to lay out here on the ground. You can't get around it with nothing to mow, so it's going to have to go. And might I add, when you cut these off, these can be used for scions. If you need to graft with them, they can be used for that, and that's probably what we'll do with them. We'll put them in the refrigerator for grafting. We've got another limb right here that's just down too low. I'm gonna take it off. We got a central leader right here that I don't like to have a central leader in my tree. So I'm gonna take it out. That gives me my form right here, my limbs to begin to actually spread out. And then I'm looking right here, I've got this big limb. It's got to go. So I know that's kind of harsh on a tree, but now all the growth will go into these limbs, and these will become my lateral limbs here. And they'll actually end up making a lot nicer looking tree in the end. It looks kind of rough right now, but I think it's best for the tree. Okay guys, these are the limbs we trimmed out of the tree. Now we're gonna cut us some Scion wood. Now this stuff like this is just too little to use. I'm gonna get rid of that. All this stuff is just too tiny. I like stuff about 12 inches long for Scion Wood. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna cut them out. I'm just gonna go through the pile here. Now, I'm gonna cut these limbs off because we don't really need anything that's that small. We'll save all this for Scion. This is an Anna apple. And the reason I like them to be so long is they have enough sugars and starches left in them, to, carbohydrates and stuff, to keep them alive on the tree when they're big and thick. I like about the size of a pencil and bigger. And what I'll do when I come back to these and I take them in the house, I'm gonna put a little bit of, you can use carpenter's glue or Elmer's glue and put on the ends of all these where you cut those limbs off, so that the moisture in the limb will not evaporate out. And put them in a damp, wrap them in a damp paper towel, label them, put them in a Ziploc bag, and put them in the vegetable drawer in the refrigerator, and you should have your Scion Wood for spring when it gets here. So many people ask us about pruning fruit trees and what do you do with your fruit trees. We had these 2 apple trees we had to do, so I wanted to show you how I handled it. And I hope you've learned a little bit of something about the way we do it here at Deep South Homestead, and it's been educational for you. So thank you from Deep South Homestead.